You are tuned in to What Up Baltimore online radio. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this channel are of the host and not of Lady J Media. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, What Up Baltimore TV. And if you really don't want to miss any of the shows, hit that notification bell and you'll get a message every time we come on. Now, we got it from here, so sit back, relax, and stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lady J. Welcome to What Up Baltimore. There's something going on with Facebook, and I'm in the background here trying to figure out. I just got a notification that Facebook is having trouble with um, sending live shows. So I'm just checking to see if that is the case, to see if we're on there or not. And I don't see it's there. So Walter, as I'm talking to you, I'm going to be working on this. And so if you see me looking down, please forgive me. I just want to make sure that I get this all straightened out um, before we continue on. So anyway, everybody, welcome to What Up Baltimore tonight. Again, my name is Dr. Lady J, and tonight I want to say tonight that if you have small children, I would like for you to please make sure that you don't have them in the room, because tonight we're going to be having a very adult conversation. I'll put it like that. And so we don't want the children to be in the room. This show is only for adults. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, the devil is busy over here. I don't know what, all of a sudden, because Walter, we can ready to talk about something quite serious. Everything is going on over here. So I want to thank my friend, my brother. Oh man, this guy right here. I've known him. I think I met him when I was 14. Well, that's when I came to Philly. Or when we started going to church in Philly, because my dad is a pastor, and so we were transferred to Philadelphia. That was the best place that I lived. I just enjoyed living in Philadelphia. And so I met Walter. I thought Walter was a kid. I didn't know Walter. I mean, he was a kid when I was there. And then all of a sudden it seemed like when we became adults, like he just caught up with me. I don't know how that happened. I don't know when it happened, but it's just weird that he's so like, he's so much older now. But Walter and I, his wife, we're all friends, and I mean, it's just been a long, long friendship. And they have been with me through the thick, the thin, the everything. And they are true friends. And so, Walter, welcome to my show. I think this is probably the second time you've been on.
Yes, yes, and I must say I like the intro music.
Oh, thank you.
I started to get up and start kicking it, but I said, "No, let me stop." I said, "Okay, that's what I'm talking about."
Gotta have a little fun. We gotta have a little fun over here. But yeah, welcome to the show. And
Thank you for having me.
I'm so I want to say this. I am so grateful that that you and Stephanie, your wife, trusted me enough to tell to share be the one that you share your story with. Like, I know the story, but to come out publicly and talk about it, I just wanted to thank you for trusting me to be able to do that. And then I also want to give a shout out to your daughter, because your daughter uh, is very brave. to be able to tell her story and then, continue on with life. And congratulations to her because she's about to get married. And so, that's how we know who God is, and we know that God is truly amazing. So, thank you so much for coming on. And tonight, like I said, the topic is not an easy topic to talk about, but sometimes you have to have that conversation. Sometimes you got to have that conversation. Um, and so let's get into it. So we were talking. Actually, your daughter had reached out to me and was sharing with me about her being molested.
Mhm.
And I got to tell you, when she was talking to me, I was hurt. Um, I was angry. And it was like, because I've known them, I knew you before they were born, so it's like my child talking to me. and
Mhm.
and and I had to really contain myself because I knew in that moment that I had to be there for her and listen to her. And so I had to kind of put all of that, in the rear view. But I know if I felt the pain of that, I can only imagine how you and your wife felt, you know, going through this. So I want to just go back and ask you, and I'm sure there are other people in here, Walter, who may be going through it right now or have gone through it. And so again, you and your wife are really being a light, a beacon of light tonight, and a beacon of hope to everyone. And so, what was it like when you first heard her tell you that?
So before I get started, can I just do a little introduction?
Sure, sure.
So we've been together for 40 years. Uh,
I'm sorry, Walter. I don't know what is going on here. Wait a
uh,
minute. What is going on? I gotta see. Oh my goodness. Can you hear me, Walter?
y'all can hear you real well.
Okay,
Can you
okay.
hear me?
I am so sorry. I don't know
That's okay.
what's going on over here tonight.
Technical
Oh my
difficulty.
goodness, y'all! Please, please, I don't pray y'all. Cause see, I'm gonna tell you something. You and I prayed before we came on,
Yes, we did.
and the enemy is trying to do everything not to get this out, but we're gonna get it out tonight. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, me and my wife, we've been married 34 years. We've been together 40 years all together. She's
Mm-hmm.
like my best friend. I mean, like we just we and that's how you've been knowing us for such a long period of time
Right. Right.
because she
Mm-hmm.
went to your church as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of that, we have three beautiful children. I've been a youth leader, in the church. I've been an elder. I've been a deacon. I presently practice as a psychiatric nurse. And then also, I run a nursing organization. I'm also a professor of higher education. I teach in two nursing programs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so just a little, of me.
Mm-hmm.
But ask that question, what was it like? Um, it was almost like I thought I was in another world.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was, I actually, I was blank. I was,
Mm-hmm.
I just was like, I just felt like this real empty space, you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
really hard to explain, but it is not a good feeling at all
Yeah.
for a father.
Yeah.
It's just not
Mm-hmm.
a good feeling at all. Um, and when it was revealed to me, when my daughter revealed it to me, and then it was just, and then sharing with my wife, both of us, we just kind of like looked at each other, and I know I felt like I was the lowest of the lowest
Mm.
because I
Wow.
know as a dad, I've always prided myself from the time I was 17. I said, if I ever become a father and a family
Mhm.
man, I'm to be the priest, provider, and the protector. And I've
Mhm.
always prided myself on that.
Right. Right.
When my sweet little daughter, and she, of course, she's a woman when she revealed to me, but she's always gonna
Now,
be
now, how old was that? That's what I forgot to say
yeah.
too. How
Mhm.
old was she when she revealed that to you?
She was 31,
Okay,
and that
and
was
this
basic.
happened
Yeah, that was
when?
basically, yeah. She was 31, which was 2 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
basically it was just through a casual conversation. She,
Okay.
as any daughter or son would do, call parents up, ask them question, advice, or whatever. So she just was basically calling me up, saying, "Dad, hey, look, I want to go to a church for me and my fiance. Do you have any recommendations?" So the
Mm-hmm.
recommendation that I gave her, she was like, "Dad, I'm not going to that church." And I kept saying, "Why?" And
Mm-hmm.
she, I could see that she was getting a little upset, but I just thought that, maybe, I don't know, I just thought that, well, she just grown, she just have her own way.
Mm-hmm.
But I pressed
Mm-hmm.
the issue a little bit more because I was curious,
Right.
and pressing the issue, her voice level and her emotional level just raised up, and then she revealed to me about an individual, and then also what happened to her at the age of
Mm.
14 and 15. And I was I it was not a good feeling at all. Uh,
Mm.
it's not
Wow.
a good feeling at all.
Wow.
As a father.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And how did your wife react?
My wife is different. She is more, personal about things. She internalized things where I'm a little bit more outward.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, knowing her, I know that she, her stress level, her anxiety level, I know it was way off the charts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and not only that, I do know that it could also have affect her even physical health. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so she was not in a good headspace, and I just think that even though this was 2 years, uh, now it was revealed to us. I think that we're still trying to recover. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
still getting there. But again, it's really really hurting. It's almost like somebody taking a knife and just stabbing you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's very close to you, a good friend or whatever, and just like that's a very hurtful feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, having
And I
dreams,
remember. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
you end up having dreams. I had nightmares. Um, my wife have dreams, nightmares,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's just horrible. It really really is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you just thinking about you constantly thinking about where did you go wrong? How did you
Mm-hmm.
throw your why would you throw your child to the lion's den? Why would you're thinking about all of these things. All these things
Right.
you're surfacing,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
can't you questioning if you're really the good father that everybody think you are, or they say you are, even that your children
Mm-hmm.
think you are. So it's some personal internalizing things. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do remember when you found out because you called me and you were in a rage and I had to kind of talk you off that wall that night.
Hmm.
I could feel it in you, like the anger. And the crazy part was like I've seen Walter upset, but I've never seen Walter upset like this. Like you were just like horrified. And I understand that for men, especially black men, like you said, you feel like the protector. You feel like when your arms extend, it covers the whole family, no matter how many children you have.
Hmm.
And so that's why I really wanted you to share how you were feeling because I'm sure that there are men out here who have never, maybe they've never talked about, um, you know, being in that situation, and I think you give them some hope of saying to them that when the time is right and when you feel like it, you'll start slowly coming out and sharing your story. And so, but I want to say to you also, Walter, that, and I told you this before, you and your wife are amazing parents, just absolutely amazing. Your children are amazing. And so I hope that you've given yourself a little bit of grace as you continue to journey through this, that you're not a bad person. You just didn't know at the time,
Hmm.
you know? So I hope that you and her give yourself a little bit of grace. So when you did find out about this with your daughter, hey Brittany, when you did find out about this with her, uh, did she could she feel or see your anger at that moment?
Yes. Um, I think that um, my daughter, um, we have such a special bond,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
she
And that's
she
your first child too.
yeah, that's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
had such a special bond. All three of my children, even my godchildren, all of us have special bond. But it's
Mm-hmm.
nothing like the
Mm-hmm.
first one. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right. Mm-hmm.
And so Brittany have seen me in moments where I'm at my worst moments. She's seen me in some of my darkest moments.
Mm-hmm.
Seen me in some of my saddest moments and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when she saw my reaction, um, I think that, sadly to say, I think that it may have re-traumatized her, because
Mm-hmm.
up to that point, like I said, this is happened. This was revealed at 31. Up until that point, this young lady is moving on great with her life. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
So
You
you
know,
you didn't even think anything had happened
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't never thought, and so again,
Mm-hmm.
she's moving on gracefully with her life. She's, she got a fiance, so she's pretty in a good, in a good
Mm-hmm.
headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to drive that one dark moment, those dark moments out of her, and she see the rage that I was in. I think that we didn't talk about her feelings at that time, but
Mm-hmm.
me being a psych nurse, professionally, I can see that she was being re-traumatized all over,
Mm-hmm.
having
Mm-hmm.
to relive, and all of that. And I felt bad about that. I
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
Sometime I go and say to myself, maybe I shouldn't have had that conversation with her. Maybe you shouldn't have never known, or whatever of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Then it wouldn't have been like it is. But then again, I'm glad I did,
Mm-hmm.
because right now I'm a father, and I'm fighting for not just my child, but I'm fighting
Mm-hmm.
for all victims.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even some of her friends who I consider my nieces,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fighting for them, and I'm fighting for past victims, present victims, and future victims, because this is
Mm-hmm.
something that has been, I'm finding out, this is something that has been through since biblical time,
Right. Right. Right.
the exploitation, the abuse,
Mm-hmm.
the sexual misconduct, everything towards kids, you
Mm-hmm.
and they
Mm-hmm.
don't have a voice. They don't
Right.
have a voice,
Right.
and
Um.
go ahead.
Yeah. Go. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I think that sometimes you hear individuals, they get on, and when they hear a person's story, and they wondering why are they coming out now? Well, why didn't they say something back then? You
Mm-hmm.
get that line
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Yes. Yes.
You get that,
Yes.
right? Why didn't they say something back then?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the question
Mm-hmm.
that I have for them when they ask that question. Have you ever been a victim?
Right.
Have you ever been,
Exactly.
and once
Mm-hmm.
you are, then you can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody understands until a psychologist. I think she was a yeah. I think she's a psychology therapist. She met with
Mm-hmm.
me and some other parents, my wife, and she
Mm-hmm.
really revealed. the mindset of what a child is actually going through and why they are very, very hesitant to come forward.
Mhm.
Because as
Mhm.
a dad, I started questioning when Brittany told me, I said, wait a minute. I mean, like I thought I had a good relationship with my daughter.
Mhm.
I said, maybe this has all been a facade. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm thinking that her and I are close. She can tell me anything. Have I like
Mhm.
been mean to her? Have I not? I just my mind was just spinning. It was
Yeah.
constantly just spinning, spinning, spinning. With
Mhm.
my head down, just going through rage, emotional, just downness, just constantly just thinking and thinking and thinking. Can't even like think straight. You just
Mhm.
got these other urges in your mind, homicidal
Yeah.
tendencies in your mind. You got all that stuff going on.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you just can't process.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only being that can really help you through this is the Spirit of God. You know,
Mhm.
that's the
Mhm.
only being that can really help you through this.
Yeah.
Kids,
Yeah.
I've heard them constantly after this came out, constantly, 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 Dad, you are a great father. Dad, you this. You didn't do
Mhm.
anything with their friends. But even as a father, you hear that, you still don't feel that validation. You know,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
felt you feel like you just could have done something. You should have
Mhm.
done something. Uh,
Right. Right.
yeah. Mhm.
Somebody said best godparents on the planet, Cassandra.
Mhm.
Um, and I agree, but I think because these are our children, and men and women may handle it differently, but when it comes to your children, and you know that somebody has hurt your children, it's really hard to just get up and recover from that. You feel like it's something that you have to do, that you need to do, and like you said, you go through those waves of emotions. Like, was I not there, or didn't I? Why didn't I do this, or why didn't I do that? And because it happened, and she revealed to you that it was someone from church. What did they do to you when you started thinking about church, as far as like going back or being a part or participating?
That's a very interesting question that you asked that. Um, I started looking at church differently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at one point, the enemy wanted me to blame God, because, you think that, listen, and I'm being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
As
Mm-hmm.
a parent, you make a decision one day and you say, okay, I'm going to raise my children up in the admonition of the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
train them up,
Right.
bring them to church. You think you really honestly thinking that you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this trust in individuals. And you really thinking that you are doing what you're supposed to do,
Right.
and even when we in church, when strangers come into the church, you will hear the elders or the deacons or the deaconess or the ushers or even the pastor, hey, watch that stranger coming in, watch them around our kids.
Mm-hmm.
But the snakes are right there
The whole time. The
the
whole
whole
time.
time.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so you're thinking you're protecting your kids, but you don't realize that they really are not being protected,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to predators and pedophiles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's so I I um I just my trust factor just changed,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and even to the point, individuals that I was once close with, I started questioning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the biggest question I had is with God, like, God, you tell us to do these things, you tell us to bring our children, I'm praying for their safety, and so why was my daughter not safe, you
Right.
know?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I remember for me to fight through that, I still have friends at that church, and I said, I
Mhm.
just want to go back and just kind of like my mindset was like just tell everyone, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just because
Mhm.
they know me as one of the pillars of not the four pillars, but one of the main.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
But I remember riding in the car with my wife, and and she asked me, "What church are you going to?" So I told her, I said, "I'm going to, our old church." And she was like, her emotions. And
Mhm.
so she got in the car with me. Of course, like I said, she internalizes things differently the way I do. So when we got to the church, she couldn't even get out
Wow.
the car,
Wow.
and very tearful. And at that moment, I felt like, here, I'm trying to, you know, think of ways of me dealing with it, and I'm not even concerned about her emotions. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
It was very, very difficult. Very, 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 very difficult.
Mm.
But as time went on, I had to thank God for his Holy Spirit, who constantly tells me that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against you know s- spiritual
Spiritual
wickedness
wickedness.
in high
Mhm.
places.
Mhm.
And so it took me a while, but I had to kind of like, as a dad, I had to like bring myself down. I had to bring myself down and say, okay, I can't really like look at the church per se. I can't look
Mhm.
at whatever, but these things do go on.
Mhm.
And when it happens to your own child, yes, yeah, my daughter's 31, but that's my child.
Exactly.
That's my
Exactly.
that's my baby. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Her sister's my baby. Their brother's my baby. Their
Mhm.
guys, that's my baby. All of these are my babies. They're
Right.
grown,
Right.
but I still look at them all as my kids. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because, the impacts that I've had in their lives, the fun that I had. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
See that what they have saw and what they have dealt with, and for me just to not like this deer in the headlights.
Mhm.
That's very, very hard. Very, very hard.
Yeah. 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 And I think what's hard too is when people start telling you to just pray through it. You got to
Oh,
pray
yeah.
through it. You
No,
got to forgive,
no,
and you got to let go. And
no.
that's the reason why I wanted to do this show, because I want people to see a real person. Like I've talked about my story of being molested, and even to this day, there are people who are still like, you at your age and you still talking about that. You should have been over that. That happened when you were a child. You never get over it. That's the thing. You learn how to work through it. You learn how to go through it, but it affects the rest of your life. And if
It
you don't
really
get
does.
help, yeah, if you don't get the help you need, like I had to go to therapy in my adult life because I didn't tell my parents until I was, I think, 42 or something like that. They
Mhm,
didn't know.
mhm.
So, that's why I'm saying I hope you give yourself some grace as a parent, because you can only do what you know. And if the children are still kind of, acting normal and you don't see anything, you're doing your job. But it's so hard. And I'm so glad that you're coming out and you're telling your story and you're saying, okay, this is how it feels. And you are what's your background? Tell us what you do.
I'm a psychiatric nurse.
Psychiatric nurse.
Right.
And so
And
people would expect you to just
so
just get over it.
let me say something about that. So, first of all, I'm going to give a hand clap to the victims who have
Yes.
persevered, the victims who have just pushed through.
Mhm.
I'm giving them a hand clap. Kudos.
Mhm.
Um, and I give kudos to Brittany and even her
Yes.
friends who have
Yes.
suffered.
Mhm.
Um, I did not. I remember when Brittany, I think she was 24 or 25.
Mhm.
She ran this event at my cousin's church for women who have gone through abuse.
Mhm.
And I was just like, wow. I was like, man, that's pretty impressive. I'm dad, proud, got my chest stuck out. So look at my daughter,
Right.
go ahead with your bad self,
Mhm.
and she's thinking about women and things of that sort. And I know that she have had, some dicey relationships and everything of that
Mhm.
nature, which kind of like spearheaded, So I was like, wow, this is great. So I wasn't really supposed to attend. I just was there to like kind of like, help her with the props or whatever of that nature.
Mhm.
And I was going to skedoodle on out.
Right.
And
Right.
but I stayed around. And Charlene, Dr. J, to hear, I'm sitting there watching my daughter on the panel, and
Mm.
to hear her say to the audience that she went through depression, that she was
Mm.
suicidal, she was seeing a therapist. And I'm sitting here asking myself, well, where the hell was I?
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, where was I
Mhm.
at? I'm the
Mhm.
I'm like, whoa. So I
Mhm.
didn't take it personal at all. It's just that I'm like, I said, I don't know. I said, Lord, am I not in tune with the issues of my children? Am I not,
Mm.
am I just like this person that's in like la la land, or am I just
Right.
I should be like I give everybody else advice. I
Mhm.
I give and I couldn't be there for her,
Yeah.
and so but here's the thing about that. The thing is that and then so that was at 25. And
Mhm.
then then through a conversation, I pressed the issue because I think the spirit led me. And then I'm finding this out at the age of 31. Here's a woman that really put herself through therapy. She put
Mm.
her own self. She persevered, got her own self-help
Mhm.
as she was dealing with this trauma that she has suffered as a preteen.
Mm.
As a preteen. Never knew. So I give
Mm.
kudos to her. I
Yeah.
give kudos to
Absolutely.
her and all the other victims who even also persevered to,
Mhm.
push themselves through or whatever.
Yeah.
But I got to
Yeah.
tell you, but as a dad, when I'm sitting here, and I'm listening, and but you know what she said? I'll never forget this, and it really hit my heart heavy when she told the audience that day at this event. She said, "Let me tell y'all something." She said that, "Do y'all want a really good man in y'all life?" And she pointed to me in the background. She said, "Take a look at that man back there. That's my dad.
Mm.
That's the type
Mm.
of man you want."
Mm.
And I was like, "Wow," you know. And it just, and then, so then this comes. I find this out at age 31, and my daughter, my other daughter, even my son, because they're siblings, my goddaughter,
Mhm.
all my nieces that are they're close to, all the other young people they're close to, they have been
Mm.
suffering, traumatized.
Wow.
Nobody
Wow.
understands what trauma is. People think that trauma has to do with getting beat up or getting like, in war, but
Mhm.
trauma goes deeper than that.
Yeah.
It goes
Yeah.
way, way deeper than that. And so I see young ladies, young victims who have been traumatized, and the way they may expressly, or the way they may outwardly express it, or
Mhm.
whatever, or maybe years later, yeah, that's going to be questions in a lot of people's mind because they don't
Mhm.
understand trauma.
Right.
They
Right.
have not a clue of what that's like,
Mhm.
And so my goal has been to kind of like wrap my arms around all victims, my wife, my, even my family, because I know they
Mhm.
feel some kind of way. When I told my dad, oh, he was a mess,
Mm.
and so it's just that it's really difficult.
Mhm.
It's really hard. And I actually thought when she told me at 31, a year had gone by, and I thought I was good,
Mhm.
'cause I was praying, and just kind of like just getting it out. I talked to you. So I
Mhm.
thought I was really, really good. I said, okay, I'm getting through this. Okay, what's the next step? Even I was still having these nightmares, these dreams, like what I really want to do to this
Mhm.
individual, to not just to
Mhm.
this individual, to every individual, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And so I
Mhm.
was like, just still having these dreams and all of that, but they would subside. And I said, okay, I think I'm good until I have a neighbor, and my neighbor called me while I was on vacation in Alabama. And
Mhm.
he asked me, he said, Walt, my daughter has this rash, and I know you're a nurse. What do you think I should do? Because I know that you're a nurse. The mother, meaning her mother, is telling him not to take her to the emergency room, not to take her to whatever.
Mhm.
I said, well, I said for the mom to tell you that, I said, listen, this is what you do. You get her this, get her that, and I say you take her to the emergency room or whatever. I
Mhm.
know that, you and the wife were not together, but I say take your daughter to the emergency room.
Mhm.
So here's months later, 2 or 3 months later, I see him in the neighborhood with his family. And I said, hey, yo, I said, listen, how's your daughter doing? Did she make out all right? Did you find out
Mhm.
what the crash was? Dr. J, he said to me, he said, Walt, he said, you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. I said, what? What's going on? He said that the mother of the daughter and the mother's boyfriend had been abusing the girl,
Oh
sexually
wow.
assaulting her, and I see the tears in his eyes. I lost it. I lost it.
Mm.
And I started thinking, and I said, you know what? I said, I need to see a therapist. I need to get
Mhm.
help immediately because
Mhm.
I'm about to be a ticking time bomb and I do
Right.
not care. That's
Mhm.
the point where I was at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I locked onto a therapist, and I praise God that this therapist that I locked onto, oh, she really, really, she's God sent.
Mm.
It helped me. I'm
Yeah.
not where I
Yeah.
want to be. I'm not where you know, but it's a big, big help, which
Mm.
allowed me to go a little bit forward and with my wife and doing some other things to tackle
Mhm.
the issue.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
thoughts are still there, you
Mhm.
know, and so I'm just being transparent as a dad because I'm like, yo, you know, this is crazy,
Mhm.
and
And I want to say this, Walter. You were an elder in the church, right?
yes,
You've an elder in the church, and so you know the person
hmm,
that did it, and that's why I was asking you, like, how did it affect you and your wife, because I know they had to have some kind of effect. Like, it's one thing if you don't know the person, but then if you know the person and you're at church, this is church, the place where you go to find solace and safety, and you want to commune with people, So when you go to church now, do you find yourself still wanting to do those things like commune and get
no,
close to people at the church?
no,
Okay.
because I've been
Okay.
traumatized,
Mhm.
and definitely
Mhm.
not my wife. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because the thing is that even with our grandchildren, we find ourselves like super hyper vigilant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? And it's a shame to say that because you mistakenly now putting everybody in the same basket,
Mhm. Mhm.
for a few bad apples. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? And you can't, to be honest with you, that's not a good way to live because then
Mm-mm.
you can't really be who you really are.
Right.
You can't,
Right.
you really can't be yourself,
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna share this, and I think my wife don't mind me sharing this, but when this all came out and I watched her and I see what she was going through. For those who don't know my wife is the type of person. She's a very, very loving person.
Mhm.
She's very she's very friendly. Even
Mhm.
people who do her wrong, she will still like do, she will still, if they go out of their way to, she will still be a friend. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
I've never known her to hate anybody in her entire life. When she told me, she said, "Babe, I hate this individual. This is the
Mm.
first person that she's ever hated in her entire life." That says something. That's how I know that this has really, really messed her up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's also too because the trust was broken. That
Yes.
trust of thinking like, again, this is somebody at church, this is somebody that I've known for a long time.
Mhm.
That trust is broken and that hurts. Like that hurts to the core. Cause like you said, you're looking past certain people and you're watching strangers to make sure they don't come and
Mhm.
do anything. But it's the person right next to you sometimes.
The
So
person right next to you, the person that you befriend, the person who's in your home, the person who
mhm.
is your brother, the person who is just like, um it's, you just you would just never, you listen, we teach our kids, don't
Mhm.
talk to strangers. We
Right.
teach our kids, watch out for this stranger danger, or
Mhm.
this person that we, and guess what, our kids get that.
Mhm.
But how do
Mhm.
we teach them about uncle so and so,
Mhm.
or dad's best friend so and so,
Right.
or
Right.
mom's ride or die so and so?
Mhm.
How do we teach them that?
Right. Right.
That's the big question,
Mhm. Mhm.
because that is so confusing to them.
Yes.
Very, very
Yes.
confusing. It's
Mhm.
traumatizing, it's confusing at the same time. They are very,
Mhm.
very scared. Even to
Yeah.
the point, if they don't say nothing, they are even more ashamed and they start
Mhm.
to blame themselves.
Right. Right.
And I say, put
Mm.
the blame where the blame truly lies.
Mhm.
That's what happens.
Right.
And
Right.
when they start to blame themselves, then they see the reaction. Then they feel like they start to even feel the worst of the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what my daughter told me? She said something also that have given me some solace. She said this to me. She said, "Dad," she said, um, now that she thinks about it in hindsight, she said, you know what? Maybe it was a good thing I didn't say anything to you, Dad, because I probably wouldn't have had you growing up."
Wow. Wow.
That's powerful.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
powerful.
Mhm.
So here
Yeah.
is a person making a possible conscious choice
Mhm.
to say that, okay, if I say this, then there's the great possibility no more campouts with dad, no more fun with mom, no more this with dad, no more
Mhm.
trips, no more whatever. And I got to go visit him or mom behind bars.
Right. Right.
That's real talk.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
reality.
Yep. Yep. And I wanted to read this comment from this is B More Duda said these things need to be talked about and more for men and women that's been in these situations and don't be ashamed. Absolutely. And I'm also going to ask, she said this is powerful. And I'm also going to ask everybody that's watching, because y'all, I don't know why it's not allowing it on Facebook. Maybe it can't be the topic because I've done it before. I don't know, but I'll get on that later. But anyway, we got quite a few people on YouTube. So if you could just share, do me a favor, take a moment and just share the video to at least three people because we want to bless somebody. We want to help somebody to get through this. And you're looking at a real person. It's only been like 2 years that he's known about this, and so this is very traumatic. And for me, Walter, like going through my molestation from age 11 to 14, and I saw even through my marriage. how it affected me in my marriage. And I was talking to a friend of mine today, and she said something. And I said, you know what? That's what I was dealing with because I didn't realize at the time when I was married, like, your husband wants to have sex, and I'm like, don't touch me. And the way I would say it, in the anger, in the rage, and he's looking like, what's wrong with you? I'm like,
I
don't
had
touch me.
I had a pastor tell me, um, and I know my daughter don't mind me sharing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she was contemplating marriage at one time. She was getting counseling, so I called the pastor up, who was a good friend of mine. I said, "Yo,"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "what do you think about this guy?" I'm like, I don't, I'm not feeling this dude marrying my daughter, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And he basically, he was professional. He said, "Well," he said, "look, I'm a professional." He said, "I can give them all the tools that they need or whatever, but you can go from there. I can't, tell them whatever, whatever." And I respected that.
Right,
So
right.
when all this came out years and years later, and I called him back, and he said, "Now it makes sense." I said, "What do you
Mm.
mean?" He said, "That's what my study is on. That kids that are traumatized, you trying to figure out why they are choosing like bad relationships, or why they are making choices, or why they
Wow.
are acting a certain way."
Mm.
And when
Mm-mm-mm.
he said that, now it makes sense. He said,
Wow.
that's what it is. And I
Mm.
just thought about that, and I was like, wow. He said, "Yeah, because you just never know." So I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
any parent out there or whatever, I'm not trying to tell any parent out there or any dad, don't, you don't go brown beat your kids or whatever or nothing of that nature. But if you notice, you have a good relationship with them, and you notice that they may be acting in a certain way or whatever of that nature, try to, like, if I can turn back the clock, try to, like, just approach transparently and just have like some real serious like conversation where they are like they feel so comfortable that
Mm-hmm.
they can talk to dad, they can talk to mom without any repercussion, not towards them, but any outward repercussions that can kind of like disrupt the whole entire family unit,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know.
That's good. That's good information because like when I look back on me, I used
Mm,
to act out. I just always was fighting. I mean, I was getting suspended. I was always fighting. Anybody? I remember one boy just pulled my hair a little bit, and I turned around and I beat that boy until I saw blood. you
mm,
know and it's just like when I look back on it, it's the rage and the anger that builds up in you, and then you're being told by that person, don't tell anybody,
yes,
or this is going to happen, or I'm going to do this, or it's going to break up the family or break up the friendship. And as a kid, as a child, you're afraid, and so
yes,
you don't say
mm,
anything. And the sad part is that I'm glad your daughter was smart enough to think about, if I say something, you know, dad might not be here. But think of the trauma of a
mhm,
child having to even think about that.
yes,
It's like you can't even enjoy your childhood because you got to start thinking ahead, and you got to think of ways so they don't see that anything is wrong. So you are living in this, in going through this cycle of trauma from
mhm,
somebody else,
mhm,
and you can't say anything. And I want people to really hear that, because Walter, there are people that I talk to right now who are adults who are stuck.
yes,
And thank God, your daughter's been able to move forward with her life. She's a beautiful young lady. I remember when I had her on, everybody was like, "Oh, that young lady is so powerful," and she was just saying how she's taken this and she's kind of turned it around and she's moving forward, you
mhm,
know, and everybody doesn't have that. But I want to tell you this, Walter, she's like that because of you and Stephanie. It's
wow,
what you put in her
wow,
that's giving her the strength to be able to say, okay, this happened, but I'm able to move forward. I'm able to do this. I'm able to get married. I can have children. I can live my life. And that's
mm,
because even though she was going through, you and Stephanie were still putting certain things in her, you
mm,
know. And in her adult life, she's been able to process it and be okay with
mm,
who she is despite what happened. But I'm
mm,
telling you, I talk to people who are still on the verge of suicide,
yes,
and these things happened years ago. They don't want to get married. They don't want a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
One person stays in the house, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
even come out.
Mm-hmm.
So when you predators, and I do shows about this all the time. I don't care how they feel. Y'all predators out there, when you do certain things to people, I want you to hear real stories. Not only is it affecting the children, it's affecting the families.
Mm-hmm.
It's families that have broken up, Walter. They don't talk to each other because they feel like, okay, we were taught what happens in the house stays in the house, but then you decide to talk about it, so now the family don't want to deal with you anymore. Everybody's traumatized, like you said, and we have to get to a point where we start having these conversations
Yeah,
and we just let it out.
I just like what one of your viewers just put up there, trying to protect others while feeling unsafe, and that's exactly what is going on
Mm-hmm.
in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
feeling totally unsafe, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's like, okay, this guy, this predator is really manipulating me. They telling me this, they telling me that, they telling me this is going to happen. They telling me this. I don't. To this day, I don't know what this person have said to my daughter,
Mm.
but I do
Wow.
know. But I do know one thing: he manipulated my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's what
understand?
it is.
And it's not for me to. It's not for me to know what was said or anything like that. The bottom line is that I when I look at the garden, what happened to Eve in the garden? I mean, what happened to Eve in the Garden of Eden with
Mm-hmm.
the serpent? I correlate these predators and pedophiles with that same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
They offer families um, opportunities, whether it's educational opportunities. Let's go down the list. You got Sandusky. You got
Mm-hmm.
the Olympic coach. You got
Right.
some that been on the media,
Mm-hmm.
and and then you got some in your own circle.
Mm-hmm.
They're offering,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can do this for you, and you can't fault parents for wanting the best opportunity for their kids,
Right. Right.
you know, or presented with the best opportunities for your kids. You
Mm-hmm.
can't fault parents, for that. But these predators, these pedophiles, they study their victims, they study the families, they know exactly what they are doing.
Mm.
And the thing is it's just like what the your viewer just said, trying to protect others while at the same time, feeling like I mean, like really unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
unsafeness is going to cause anxiety to raise. It's going to cause certain emotional outbursts in a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to
Mm-hmm.
cause them to like act out or
Right.
whatever. It's going to cause them to, throw some resentment towards even their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of dynamics that are going on. You know,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
again, who do you put the blame at? I don't blame my daughter. I don't blame my family. I
Mm-hmm.
don't blame I was blaming myself, but thank God
Mm-hmm.
I got past that. The blame lies where the blame should lie, and that's the predator themselves.
Right, exactly, exactly. And it's unfortunate that they do get that protection and that covering, and
Hmm.
they thrive on that. They
Yes.
thrive on that, and they go to the next victim. And those of you who are watching, if you've gone through this type of situation, uh, and a lot of times, Walter, it's from people that we know. It
Hmm.
really is. It's the people that we know and the people that we trust.
Yes.
In my situation, nobody would have thought this person would have done that to me because it's somebody that they trust. And so, we got to really keep our eyes open. And one thing that I think our generation is doing more, and even our kids' generation, is they are talking to their children. They're
Yes.
having these conversations. Did this person touched you? You know, what happened today? Why do you feel uncomfortable around this person?
Hmm.
I remember I had to have a conversation with my son because in my mind, because of what happened to me, I
Hmm.
swore up and down the coach had touched my son,
Hmm.
but he just didn't want to play football or something.
Hmm.
But I had that conversation. Did anything happen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did anybody do anything to you? And we have to stop feeling like we can't say that. These
Right.
kids know way more than we do right now. They're exposed to way more stuff than we are. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't be afraid to have even I've seen parents who have children that are like 5, 6 years old, having that conversation. Did somebody touch you? Or did somebody do anything to you? And they're able to find out information. It's unfortunate that the children are young, but they're able to find out information. And I know you being a nurse, you've worried, have a lot of knowledge about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so where do you feel like you are now in this process with everything that's happened?
I feel um, I'm um, at least like 75%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I'm just being truthful. You know, it's not that I'm just thinking about my daughter. I'm thinking about all the other victims. And then even
Mm-hmm.
when I talk to some other victims who went to the same, church or whatever, and I have conversation with them, and then they're telling me this happened also by this
Wow.
individual and other
Wow.
individuals. It's like my mind is just blowing up all over the place,
Mm.
because you know, I one of the victims told me this, um, and this is what she said to me. She said that she said, we knew in that entire church that if it was one individual we knew that would really do something, we knew it would be you
Mm.
because we know how you are,
Right.
you know. And I had to share that with, a couple of victims, so they can understand that, the type of person that I am. Just a
Mm-hmm.
little background. You know me, Charlene. I'm
Oh
from the hood.
yeah. You
I'm
from you straight from the hood.
I'm
Yeah.
from the hood, Richard Allen Projects.
Yep. In
And guess what?
Philadelphia. Yep.
We do not. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, my mindset when I found out, I was getting ready to go right down to the hood and say, "Here, look, here's some money for you. Here's some money for you. I believe this is where the address is."
Right.
I'm telling you, I was to that point.
I
You
remember
know
you
what I mean?
telling me that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
I was
you
to that
actually
point.
telling me that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the thing is that and so when I shared that, with a couple of individuals to say, "Hey, look, yeah, yeah, y'all, they see me when they grew up of church guy,
Mhm. Mhm.
Uncle Walt, Brittany's dad, elder,
Right.
deacon, you know,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
they don't know a little dark side about me."
Right, right, right. Yeah. And y'all, let
So
me tell you, growing up, like I've seen that side of Walter because he, like I said, he was a kid. He was like a knucklehead, always in trouble, always doing something. And that's how far we go back.
yeah,
And like I said, I think I was about 14 or something, but
yeah,
that's how far we go back. And Walter was always doing something. Like you,
mhm,
you hear everybody, Walter,
right,
Walter, Walter. He's always
right,
doing stuff.
mhm,
So I know what he's talking about. I know where he came from. And that's why I'm up, bro. I'm always so proud of you when I see you now being a professor and,
yeah.
a psychiatric nurse and you got your family, like both of
And
y'all,
the,
you and Stephanie.
and the one thing that really hurts me, I want to say this to the audience. The one thing that really hurts me is that when these things happen in the church, we are taught to handle it in the church, and it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, oh, don't tell so and so, don't tell so and so. Let's
Mm-hmm.
meet behind closed doors with the elders and pray and work it out and everything. Dude, lady, listen. While you doing all that, you got a traumatized victim
Mm-hmm.
that's going
Mm-hmm.
through hell.
Right.
You know, while you doing all that, and they living a life of hell.
Mm-hmm.
And no, there should be accountability. There should
Right.
be, there should be, and so, I really hate that, you know, um, when certain things may happen, in the church or whatever, and the elders, maybe like the elders or the clergy or somebody, they get to them, quickly if they're a victim. Hey, let's talk about this. We don't want this to get out. We don't want this to,
Mhm.
you know, that to me, that's a lie of the devil.
Mhm.
Understand?
Mhm.
I'm saying, no, it needs to get out. It needs to, because
Right. Right.
because if it doesn't get out, for every one victim, I'm sorry, for every 300 or 400 people or 100 people, there's one
Mhm.
victim. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's how
Mhm.
these predators and pedophiles they operate.
Yeah.
They get one victim, but then they have 100 people that can vouch for them.
Mhm.
So of
Mhm.
course, if that victim or the family comes forward, and then you got 100 people that can vouch for you or whatever, then you're up there on the witness stand, you looking like a buffoon. I had one
Mhm.
mother who was a victim, whose daughter was a victim. I had her tell me, she said, and this is exactly what she said to me. She said that she left the church, and she said that she did not, didn't want to say anything or whatever, because she knew that how everybody else would view her as looking bad. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because again, these predators and pedophiles, they are very influential. They are,
Right.
everybody, they're charismatic. Everybody loves
Mhm.
everybody. Oh, who he does this for a lot of kids. He does this for a lot of youth. They have to be
Mhm.
right. You see what I'm
Right. Right.
saying? And
Right.
that's part of the trauma that these victims actually go through.
Mhm. 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 And the other thing is that I wanted to go back to something that you said too, that these people, not only is it your child that they're messing with, it's other people out there.
Yes,
It's other people. It's not, to see, they're not just going to mess with one person at a time.
absolutely.
It's a whole bunch of victims out there,
Hmm.
and sometimes as one person begins to speak, other people will come forward and begin to speak,
Hmm.
and you really start to see who
Hmm.
this person is.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm gonna tell you this, Walter. I'm gonna be transparent about this. When it comes to the church, and I know some people who know what happened in your situation. Um, they were telling me, first of all, well, what is he mad about if she's doing okay? And we got to learn how to pray. We got to bring this. This is the one that blew my mind. Okay, this is what blew my mind when the person said, "What we need to do is find," talking about the predator, find him and put him in a circle and have prayer with him. That's when I lost it. Because my thing is this: I'm not trying to pray with you. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm not trying to pray with you. I would love to see you in a circle because I know what I want to do with you when you get in that circle.
Hmm.
And it ain't praying.
Hmm.
It's not praying.
Hmm.
You are affecting people's lives for the
Hmm.
rest of their lives.
For the
No
rest of
matter
their
how, yeah, no matter how well they're doing, no matter how well they look like they're doing,
life.
it has given me anxiety. I'm on medication for anxiety
Hmm. Hmm.
because that's how it's left me affected. No matter if I try to go off the medicine, you
Hmm.
know, I start getting real anxious about everything. So I'm
Hmm.
on medication. That's why I'm real open about, what's going on with me. Because I don't want this to happen to nobody.
Hmm.
But people in the church, listen, y'all got to remember, y'all have to remember that, God forgives. Yes, He does. Yes, He does. He forgives. And it says that God loves the sinner, but not the sin. But God also expects this person to be corrected.
Hmm.
And if correction means going to prison, you're going to prison. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
whatever that correction means, God is going to correct. And if you can't ever find the person, I always tell the people, these predators, this: God can find you, and you're not going to have a good life before you leave this earth. You are going to suffer.
Hmm. Hmm.
You're going to suffer. And so as church people, sometimes church people can be so holy. Let's pray for the person. Whole time this person was talking to me, Walter, what really made me mad was the person was talking about the predator and not the victim. And I had to jump in and say, what about Brittany? Well,
Hmm.
that happened to her. You know, she's 30 something right now. She should be good. She should be over it.
No, no.
Church people, y'all got to stop. What did Fiona say? When I say we, I mean the church. When the church covers up the wrong, the predator is having a ball with others. Fiona, you're absolutely right.
Hmm.
She said some people in the body of Christ don't want to address real issues. Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. I'm a chaplain, but I'm going to address these issues.
Hmm.
Now, granted, a lot of people don't like it, and a
Hmm.
lot of people were like, well, why are you doing this kind of show? I mean, what you mean this kind of show?
Hmm.
These things have to be talked about.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, like I told this person, you probably have somebody in your family that's been victimized. But because of the way that you think, they don't feel comfortable in coming to you. Like this young lady went to her father, she just came out and said it. But
Hmm.
that person in your family may not feel comfortable enough to have this conversation with you because of your viewpoint
Hmm.
and because you victimize the person even further.
Hmm. Hmm.
When you start saying, that was years ago, why are you still talking about it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or this is church, don't say anything, let's just pray about it.
Hmm.
No, 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 mm-mm,
I
no.
will say this that I will say this that I have um I don't want to say an opinion, but I have a feeling of how God feels about this topic
Mm-hmm,
because it's recorded in Matthew, it's recorded in
mm-hmm,
Mark,
mm-hmm,
it's recorded in Luke, it's not recorded in John, where he says the millstone around the neck of an individual thrown into a body of water in regards to offending and hurting kids.
mm-hmm.
Because
Yes,
that's very
yes.
serious business.
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm,
for all of the guests that are on who understands the mindset and Erickson stages of life that you learn in school and psychology and brain development and all of that,
mm-hmm.
we know that those puberty years are some of the most impressionable
Yes,
years of an
yes.
individual. That those years are the
Mm-hmm,
crossroad
mm-hmm.
where they can go one way or they can go the other way.
Right,
And
right.
you are offending and messing in those years or whatever, um, you're going to that's some real serious accountability
Mm-hmm,
that God, I believe, is takes very high issue with.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
know, because the brain is not fully developed.
Right, right.
And when
Mm-hmm,
you are, and I had, and I'll never forget this. I'm being very transparent with the audience.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
The woman that came to speak to the parents, and she said something that I'll never forget. She said to us, she said that you have to understand when a person is manipulating and and touching and offending the body, the human body, when it's going through puberty, that's very confusing to that individual
mm-hmm.
because it feels good. Then they think that is this right? Or am I, their brain is scrambled in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, yeah.
They feel
Mm-hmm,
dirty. They feel like, and then depending on how that predator is manipulating them, that's very serious business.
mm. Wow, wow.
And
Yeah.
that's why when you look at the trauma, it's called the ACE score. Many
Mm-hmm,
of
right.
you look it up, they can Google.
Mm-hmm,
And it's like a questionnaire of, I think it's like 13, maybe like 12 to 13 questions.
mm-hmm.
And basically they're asking you questions about your childhood.
Yeah, yep.
And basically, depending on what that score is, they're basically saying to you that if you have a very high score, trauma is like a real serious issue,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And so, and I think it's interesting. Again, they're going back to childhood.
Mhm.
Another
Mhm.
example, they dealing with childhood.
Right.
And so
Right.
when God says what he says in his word about offending kids and hurting kids, Charlene, you can mess them up for life.
Mhm. Mhm.
You can
Absolutely.
literally mess them up for life.
Absolutely. Yep. And you know what? It's funny you mentioned that test because I had to, because of some health issues I was having, that was a part of some of the testing that they were doing on me in February on my birthday. And I was like, I knew what it was when they were telling me. And I'm like, well, why are they doing this? But the lady was explaining to me that some of my anxiety, some of my trauma, some of my PTSD
Hmm.
can be from childhood.
Hmm.
And Walter, when I got my results from that,
Hmm.
they told me that day on my birthday, February 26th, not February, I had it on the 26th. In March, it was like a month later, I had to go back for the results. They told me you are suffering from severe PTSD, severe trauma, and
Hmm.
severe anxiety. And listen to this part, y'all, because you held it in, your brain has suffered so much trauma.
Hmm.
It's just like somebody was physically beating me,
Hmm.
but this is mental.
Hmm.
I was so shocked when this doctor, she's the highest neurology doctor we have here in Maryland, at University of Maryland, when she was telling me that, she said, I'm looking at your score. And she said, your score lets us know that you have suffered years
Hmm.
of trauma that was so severe. And she said, she was explaining to me, she said, it's just like a computer, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just like your phone. It tells you that you can only put so much on your phone and then you run out of space. Then you
Hmm.
can't use the phone anymore.
Hmm.
And so I was so shocked. And when I left there, I felt like crying. I was hurt because I kind of felt like I did this to myself because I didn't say anything. And I'm like, no, I was 11. It went
Hmm.
on until I was 14. But you're talking about age 11 to 14
Hmm.
of constantly being sexually abused.
Hmm.
And so, how it's left my brain, and the reason this all came up is because I would have moments of dizziness.
Hmm.
I would have moments of walking and ain't nothing in front of me, nothing is going on, and I would just fall down, you know, or I would get in a brain fog where I couldn't remember, or if I'm having conversations with somebody and we're talking, sometimes it would just feel like they're talking so fast, like da 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 da, and I'm
Hmm.
not getting it. So I
Hmm.
decided to go back to my doctor because I'm like, maybe it's because of those strokes I had. And he was telling me, no, that part of you is fine. Like, you're good. He said something else is going on in your brain. The MRI, clear, everything's good. CAT scan, everything's good. So then he said, I'm going to have to send you to a specialist because something else is going on.
Hmm.
And that's what it is, y'all.
Yes.
It has left me with years of trauma. I was asking the doctor, I said, so this is not reversible, is it? She said, no, this is your new normal.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
because now I'm just starting to, probably within the past 3 years, talk about it. But I held that inside of me.
Hmm.
Nobody knew. I'm singing at church. I'm the praise team leader. I'm going here, going there, hosting all the going to school, graduating, but never really emptying out. And
Hmm.
so it's left me with problems with my brain,
Hmm. Hmm.
years of trauma.
Hmm.
This is how serious it is, y'all.
Very, very serious. Very, very serious. Hmm.
Wow. Somebody said, my brother Walter, you are a wonderful father. And Steffi is the best mother that any child would be proud to have. And that's true. That is so true.
Hmm.
And B. Moore says they need more than prayer. Or she's talking about the predators. They
Right.
need more than prayer. They need an evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
And then May Bay, I hope I'm saying your name right, says a show like this is definitely needed for more than people, so more people can realize
Mm-hmm.
what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, Walter, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that this was probably not the easiest thing to do, but I feel like, and if anybody has any questions before we go off for Walter,
Please,
he
I
is a
would like
psych,
I'd like for
yeah,
them to ask questions.
yeah, he's a psychiatric nurse. You can feel free to, put your questions in the chat, and he can answer them for you. But I just want to say to you that I hope by doing this that it is. I think this is a part of your healing by
Mm-hmm.
being able to just let it out, not worry about who knows or whatever people say. This is a part of you and Stephanie's healing of just saying, you know what, because Brittany did it, and so it's just a part of you have to let go. And I want to say to everybody else that don't let anybody rush you through your pain and your
Yes.
trauma and your
Yes.
anxiety. You
Mm-hmm.
have to go at it at your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take your time through that thing. Because if you go at other people's speed, you're never going to heal. If
Mm-hmm.
you're around people who don't understand what you're going through, those are not your people. Leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those people may be family.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put yourself in a situation where you're getting re-traumatized
Right.
again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to say thank you to you, Walter, for, um, coming on, standing up and saying, listen, this is what happened in our home, and
Mm-hmm.
talking about your struggles of being able to go through it, and, how it's made you feel. And I really believe that God is going to open the door for you and Stephanie. And I told you this before the show, that God is going to open the door for you and Stephanie to be that gateway, that place, safe place where people can come to and talk to you about what's happened with them. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to provide the resources that they need
Mm-hmm.
to get through that. I
Mm-hmm.
really do believe it. And y'all, at the bottom of the screen, is scrolling the National Sexual Assault Hotline. It's a 24-hour line, 800-656-4673. If you feel like you cannot talk to anyone, this is a 24
Yes.
hour
Please
hotline.
call. Yes.
Yes,
Please
call that
call.
number.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but any last words you want to share, with your listeners? And I also, before we go, I just want you to say a few words to men who
Yes.
may be going through this or have experienced this.
Yes. Um, well, I like to tell the men, me being a man myself, um, when you feel you're on the verge, if you're going through this and you feel like you're on the verge of doing something, because you're definitely going to feel that way. I just want to say first, that's a normal feeling. There's nothing
Mm-hmm,
abnormal about that. That's a normal feeling. The second thing I want to say is that um, it's okay to talk and reach out to and get help and get a therapist.
mm-hmm,
For us as Black men, when it comes to talking about and therapy and all of that and stuff, it's very difficult for us because we're not easily to open up, and
mm-hmm,
also we keep things in, and once we keep things in, we bottle and bottle and bottle, and then we can explode. Um,
mm-hmm,
so I just want to let the men who are listening, and you ladies who know men in this situation who are listening, especially fathers, godfathers, grandfathers, uncles, because even when I started mentioning it to my brothers, my other brother, who's like, I've known him since he's a big guy now, but when I
mm-hmm,
mentioned it to him, and they started feeling some, they I can see the rage in them. So
mm-hmm.
it's a normal feeling. So I just wanted to share that with the men, that therapy is
Yes.
so important. It's so
Mm-hmm,
important because you don't
mm-hmm,
want to be in a situation where as though it could be very, very regrettable.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, And then also to the families, especially our mothers, who may internalize things differently than fathers. My prayers are definitely with the moms,
Mhm.
because that's, I think, it's very traumatizing to them. So again, the same counsel to you is, therapy is very important.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Try not to, and I'm saying try not to because it's hard, because you are going to feel that way. Try not to feel guilty, and try not to internalize that guilt and shame where you take yourself in a very dark space
Mhm.
like I did. You don't want that, because that's an overwhelming space. Your anxiety level goes up. You have nightmares. You just, and when people say, "Oh, just pray about it," that's not something easy. That's not something easy
Right.
to deal with.
Right.
You know.
Mhm.
Um, and so I just wanted to share that, with the families. I just think, even some of the members from my old church and other members that know me and they know my family, I feel like they've been supportive in their own way, because
Mhm.
even, like sometimes they don't know what to say because
Right.
it's
Right.
shattered. It's
Mhm.
traumatizing to them. And so
Mhm.
then you say, okay, what do I say to them? What do I,
Right.
So it's
Mhm.
it's very hard,
Mhm.
it can really, do something to you.
Yeah.
We are, working on, um, something where, as though, an awareness group. I'm asking special prayer. There are individuals that I've talked to, they are really on board. It's almost like when I talk to individuals, about it, they all keep saying the same thing. Yes, there's something needs to be done there, because I hear the pain. There's something needs to be done. We're working on that. Me and my wife, we're working on that together, and we're hoping that that can kind of like save lives as well too. I know someone had a question, while I was talking, Charlene. I can't hear you, Charlene. I still can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Walter?
Yeah. Somebody had
My
a question while I was
my
talking.
apologies. Yeah, my
That's okay.
apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think let's see. It was 'cause I saw a couple questions.
Mhm.
Oh, here it is right here. Yeah, that was a question for you.
Yeah. What is your position on how a parent can handle dealing with a child being abused, by a sibling? Um, Family counseling, is definitely important. Um, but I think it starts with acknowledgement, and not only that, having that awareness that this is going on, and
Mm-hmm.
bringing all the parties, to counseling. Now, counseling is not easy, and let me tell
Right.
you why. Because you go to a counselor, that you may be assigned to, and they just don't fit your profile.
Right.
What I mean? And
Right.
so then you
Right.
just kind of like, So I always tell my patients this. You definitely, it's important for you to, really, like, I don't want to say shop around, but you got to really fight through and get the right person,
Mm-hmm.
that you really, really need to, talk to. But I think that
Right.
counseling, and I think our communities need to utilize counseling more often. Sometimes counseling is thrown at us that do
Mm-hmm.
not understand our plight, or
Right.
do not
Right.
understand, they have not a clue of, they just don't understand. And so, even when you feel that way, you don't stop, you just continue to fight, and, go for, counseling. So
Right.
I think that's the best, as a professional. I think that's the best answer I have for that question. I hope I answered the person's question.
Yeah, and again, y'all, these are also questions you can ask on that National Assault Hotline.
Hmm.
You can ask questions. I've been on the line with people who've called in, so you can ask them questions, and they can give you, they'll ask you what state you're in, and they can actually point you in the direction of where you need to go to report or to get help.
Hmm.
So thank you so much for your question, Miss. It says May Bay. Thank you so much for your question. Walter, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I'm
Thank you.
always lifting you up in
Mhm.
prayer, you and your family in prayer.
Mhm.
And my prayer is for your healing, your
Mhm.
mental healing over all of this. But just know that you got beautiful children, and I just
Yeah.
want you to always understand that I've watched you be a dad and you are a great dad.
Mhm.
Just your accomplishments alone from where you came from to being a psychiatric nurse. They always talk about black men don't make it out the hood and they get locked up and all these things, but you made it. You made
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
And your wife is a nurse as well. So,
Mhm.
y'all made it. And, God is going to bless you. And I cannot wait to see what God is going to do in your life. Fiona said, also be sure the victim is no longer around the
Yeah.
perpetrator.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe you are welcome. So y'all do me a favor, make sure that you share this video. Make sure that you also let people know that there is a national sexual assault hotline that they can call.
Mhm.
If they don't feel comfortable talking to families or going to the police at the moment, there's a number that they can call and someone will talk to them. And Walter, thank you again. Give your wife a big hug and a
I definitely
kiss.
will. I definitely will.
And I will see y'all. When am I going to see you in May? Is it May or July? When am
All
I
right.
coming up there? Is
Um, you talking about for the gathering for the
yes,
you talking about
yes,
you talking about for the
yes,
when we have the brunch?
yes.
Yeah. So that's going to be in June.
Okay, that's in
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
going
will
to
see y'all in
be.
June. Whenever I get around Walter Murray, he has me laughing until my stomach hurts because he does not stop, y'all. Like he really is. I'm telling you, you have to be around him. And maybe your second job can be being a comedian. I don't know because I always felt like you were funny. So he is hilarious, hilarious.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, thank you again for joining me tonight. I'm going to figure out when this is over what's going on with Facebook, but I will put it on the Facebook platform as soon as it allows. I got a notification that there's something going on with
Mhm.
Facebook, and they're not allowing any streaming for some reason. But I'll get it on there later tonight. So y'all
Mhm.
be blessed. My name is Dr. Lady J. This is the What Up Baltimore show. If you have a story that you would like to share, please reach out to me. You can go on my social media pages. You can also call me directly at 443. Let me put that number up there so y'all have it. You can reach out to me directly if you would like to do a show. And I'll look at my schedule and I'll get you on now. My May schedule is kind of crazy right now, but if I can work it in, I will get you in. Let me see. Let me go to here. I have it on here somewhere. Um, and you can feel free to call this number.
Mhm.
Here it
I want to
is.
thank your guest for allowing me to be on the show as well too.
Yes, absolutely. The number you can call me on is 443-297-4753 if you have questions, or maybe you want to reach out to Walter, maybe it was something that you did not want to put on the screen,
Mhm.
and maybe you have a question for
Yes.
him, and I
Mhm.
can give him
Absolutely.
that question, so you'll be able to get it answered. The thing tonight, y'all, is that we don't want to see anybody suffering through
Yes.
this ever again.
Yes.
And we don't have to, because
Mhm.
there's so many resources right now to tap into. And now it's just about awareness and making people aware that it's okay to
Yes.
say this happened to me,
Mhm.
and your no means no. So if you're
Mhm.
telling somebody no and they're still coming at you, they have crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to take the next step, the next course of action.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you would like to talk to me further, the number is 443-297-4753. And or if you would like to come on to share your story or to talk, feel free to do that. Before you come on, I always have a conversation with you. I don't just throw you up on the screen, but we have a conversation. We talk about if that's the right thing to do. So Walter, again, thank you so much. I will see you. Oh,
Thank you.
somebody, Robin Poindexter says, thank you both for your transparency.
Thank you, Rob.
Robin, okay, Robin Poindexter, her name is ringing a bell. Robin is a therapist.
Oh, okay.
So I have a show coming up, Walter, that I want to talk to you about because I would really like for you to be on the show. We're going to be talking about grief and loss.
Yes.
And I would really like for you to come on because people don't understand that what you went through, you have to go through a grieving process.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's serious. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the grief is real, it's
Mm-hmm.
serious. So I'm going to look at the calendar. As a matter of fact, here's my
Mm-hmm.
calendar right here. Let me see. Robin is going to be coming on May 29th at
Okay.
8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want y'all to tune in. We're going to be doing a series on grief
Mm-hmm.
because there's all different kinds of grief. So I would love for you to come on that night at 8
Mm-hmm.
o'clock. So we can kind of go through, the
Mm-hmm.
grief that you dealt with, and we
Mm-hmm.
can walk through that and talk about it. And if there's anybody else who would like to be a part of the other shows that are coming on next month, we're going to be doing one a week where we're talking about grief. Please let me know. All right, y'all, this is it right here. I think I made all the announcements. All the announcements have the church is getting ready to close. So all the announcements have been made.
Everybody have a
Oh,
blessed night.
yes. She says she's a grief coach and a therapist. That's right, Robin. I got you on my calendar. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Walter, again, thank you. Love you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the week, and I will talk to you all later.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you know that the host of this show appreciates the time that you've spent with them. Now, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with everything that we're doing. And most of all, thank you for tuning in to What Up Baltimore online radio, where the people have the power.